This is KOB 4 NightBeat.
Good evening, New Mexico. We're going to get right to it tonight. Turn on any national network right now or check out their website. The Senate runoff in Georgia and the certification of the Electoral College tomorrow will probably be the top two stories. And why not? It would be irresponsible if these two stories weren't talked about. Because whether you know it or not, the impact of what's going on in both Georgia and D.C. could soon be felt right here in New Mexico. So let's start with Georgia. The polls there have been closed for hours now, and we're still waiting to see who has won both Senate seats in that state. Now, NBC News is saying both of these races are still too close to call. Now, here is why all eyes are on these four candidates. These two seats will decide who controls the Senate, Republicans or Democrats. We asked our constitutional law expert, Professor Joshua Kastenberg, about this runoff, and it really is more than just about one party claiming victory.
If the Democrats win, they get control of the Senate, then they have control of the House. If the Republicans win, of course, they keep control of the Senate. Why is this important? Well, number one, you want to get bills through, so you need extra strong cooperation if the Republicans control the Senate. But also, President Biden has the authority to nominate judges, cabinet officers, ambassadors, United States attorneys, sub-cabinet officers, and if the Republicans control the Senate, they can gum up the works. And, the judicial bench, which is so important to the country and so important to both parties, could have quite a few vacancies in it over the next 2 years.
Historically, a divided Congress is slow to get things done. I mean, you remember the many months it took to pass any kind of COVID-19 relief package last year? New Mexicans had to wait for months. Some couldn't pay their rent or their mortgage. Then at the end of the year, there was this fight to raise that $600 payment to $2,000, and that didn't get done. So how could a divided Congress continue to impact New Mexicans? Well, it could hit people right at home.
If the Democrats do not have control of the United States Senate, and the Republicans want to stymie Biden's agenda, we might see a period where there's no COVID relief, jobless, beyond the normal jobless relief, eviction protections. So we certainly could see that happen in New Mexico. And, I don't study tenancy all that much in New Mexico. I have friends at the law school who do. But we have a high proportional number of people in Albuquerque whose apartment and home leases are month to month rather than annual. And so an eviction protection that goes away means that somebody can be evicted next month if they can't afford to pay their rent, and the eviction protection or COVID relief ends. And so that could be very painful for the state of New Mexico.
From Georgia now to D.C., where lawmakers will meet tomorrow to certify the Electoral College vote for President-elect Joe Biden. Protesters have already gathered to show their support, though, for President Trump. Dozens of Republicans, including our own Congresswoman Yvette Herrell, are planning to object. And President Trump online and at last night's rally in Georgia put pressure on Vice President Mike Pence.
And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
So does the vice president have that power? And what happened to tomorrow's certification going from being a formality to people wondering what's going to happen? Let's bring back Joshua Kastenberg.
They are operating within the loose confines of the law in the sense that the Constitution has designed this to be ceremonial unless there's an emergency. And what I mean by emergency is neither candidate got the requisite number of electoral votes, but that didn't happen in this case. And so what you'll see is legal scholars who study election law and constitutional law, there's a consensus, and what I mean by consensus is not everybody, but there's a consensus that's grown that this is a misuse of a constitutional process tomorrow, because the very emergency that this process was designed for doesn't exist. There's two problems with that tweet. The first is that every elector that's been selected by the states is a legitimate elector under the law. He may not like the result, and there may be allegations of voter fraud still out there, but under the law, they're legitimate. So that tweet has no basis. In fact, now if you look at it in terms of basis and law, no, the vice president does not have the authority to do that. That would create a dictatorial authority.
So as the night continues and into tomorrow, these stories will change, and we will stay on top of them for you right here at KOB4 and at KOB.com.